Brown's gas is specifically hydrogen, oxygen, water vapor, and electrically expanded water made by electrolysis in an electrolyzer, specifically designed not to separate the gases. If you put a membrane in the middle where electrically expanded water, EXW, is formed, then it will not form. It's a plasma form of water, negatively charged plasma, that is formed from water in these electrolyzers. The electrically expanded water is water that has soaked up electrons until it's become a gaseous form of water that is not water vapor or steam.
So you have this electron-rich form of water that you're inhaling or putting in the water to drink, and that goes into your blood. And that charges your blood with energy, and that energy is what you need to help rebuild your body.
This is where I'm concentrating now, and it's absolutely astonishing. When I first got into Brown's gas, I didn't have any clue that there would be a health application. I was using the gas for combustion for fossil fuels enhancement or combustion in a torch. But for some reason, some of my customers, and one in particular I'm thinking of, actually bubbled the gas through water, and I have no idea why. And then he put that gas, bubbled water, on a melanoma on his forehead. And that melanoma was gone. He kept changing out his bandages. In 3 weeks' time, it was gone. And it just so happens that that has been duplicated here, like that experiment has been done again in Germany recently.
When I started inhaling the gas, I did so just to prove that it was safe. I didn't do it because I thought I was sick. I didn't know all the things. It was just normal. So as I'm listing off this litany here, just remember that I didn't really think I was sick. I thought I was healthy, and this is just normal aging and that sort of thing. My personal to-date rejuvenation. Okay, so as of this time, I'm nearly 61 years old. I now look like I did when I was 45, because you can look at previous pictures and you can see. And also, I have to say, in addition to this list, the Brown's gas really saved my life. It gave me my libido back.
It was more invigorated. It's part of your body. It's part of that process, that healing process, just invigorated all aspects of you.
Exactly. So the first thing that disappeared was the psoriasis on my elbows, knees, and feet. Mm-hmm. I had thick, peeling skin, and I grew up on a cattle ranch, so I had lots of calluses and stuff like that. So I just thought that was normal. I thought that was calluses, what have you. I didn't realize it wasn't until that skin started to peel off like a snake loses skin. And underneath was smooth, baby smooth skin, and it was disconcerting, of course. But having the skin peel off like that, but the result was absolutely amazing, and that's what convinced me to continue inhalations. The things that happen when you get enough hydrogen. If you're not getting enough, your body shuts down as it has to preserve life, and when you're getting your hydrogen, then it turns itself back on, including the stem cells, because that's what it takes to regenerate skin. In order to turn those patches into actual skin cells, because your skin is full of all different kinds of things. You got your nerve cells and all kinds of things that are in there, and all that regenerates. And it all has to come from the stem cells. So you got your own stem cell therapy, which people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for, right in your own body. You just got to get your hydrogen back in there. And then the arthritis in my hands, I'd had pain in my knuckles, and I got full functionality and pain-free hands again. So that was another good thing. My tinnitus, it was getting hard to hear people speak with the loud ringing in my ears. And now I only get tinnitus a little bit when I get under severe stress. So it is a stress-related thing. So I pay attention to the stress thing. Neuropathies. I had been losing the feeling in my left palm and in the fronts of both my shins. The doctors didn't know why the fronts of the shins, but they said that the palm thing had to do with a nerve in my elbow, and she touched it and it hurt, and that was understandable. But as I was doing it, I got full feeling back in the palm of my hand, and as that happened, then I realized suddenly that I had full feeling back in the fronts of my shins. Now again, all of this I just thought was normal aging. I thought I was healthy, right? When I finally did get a doctor, they did a full physical on me, and for the records and what have you. And in the process, I said I have a heart murmur, and because I've had one since I was a child. And he said, "No, you don't."
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, it was a surprise for me. And which brings me quickly to my father. I gave him one of these machines, and I didn't know that he was going in for heart surgery, and his prognosis was poor because he wasn't telling anybody about that. I just gave it to him because I wanted him to be around for a lot longer, and so he started religiously inhaling the gas and drinking the water, and he had his heart surgery. And when he came out, he healed so fast. The doctors, it was back. They couldn't understand it because they thought he may not even heal at all, but he just healed it. So it really helps on those sort of things. Okay, the body needs the hydrogen. But if you're not getting enough hydrogen, then what happens is the body starts to shut down what it considers to be extraneous systems that are not immediately life-threatening. So the first thing to go is your regeneration system, which is stem cells and that sort of thing, and then your immune systems, and there's a lot of different immune systems, but they start to go, and then people get sick, and then your organs start to shut down. And at that point, it's pretty much going to be game over. But as you have the hydrogen, then your organs start to recover, like my heart murmur regained, and your immune systems come back online, which again, I got rid of my warts. And then the next thing I noticed was that all my scars were gone. And I had quite a few scars on my body.
And are these are old scars?
Old scars from childhood, okay? And I hadn't done anything particular to them. I hadn't put any oil on them or any soft or anything like that. I was just inhaling the gas and drinking the water. So the next thing that happened was my muscles hardened. I was actually, that happened fairly quickly. I noticed that suddenly I had strength and hardness that I didn't otherwise have before, but because I don't exercise and I spend a lot of time here in front of the computer and things like that. And one example of something that happened was I was pounding a fence post with a improvised metal post pounder, and I sprained my shoulder. And normally I knew that would take about 3 weeks to heal. It was bad enough I couldn't even lift my arm. 3 days, completely pain-free.
It's like Wolverine.
Yes.
So when you inhale this gas into the body, it's like it does a rework of your body from the inside out all the way to the surface of your skin, so that even your skin regenerates.
That's correct. And your body does that itself. All you're doing is giving the body the nutrition and energy it needs.
I've never, until you spoke the other day, I'd never heard of the word or thought of it. It was dehydrated. Where now all of a sudden you're taking the hydrogen, and that's what's actually
dehydrating a person. That's right.
Right. So explain that a little bit more, because I thought that it just like, all of a sudden you just go, ding.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Well, water is mostly hydrogen.
Right.
So when you're lacking in liquid water, they were thinking people's dehydrated. It can actually go into a prune if you don't have enough water in your system, and most people don't drink enough water. But dehydration, real dehydration, in my opinion, is where you're lacking in hydrogen. And most of the people are lacking in hydrogen, even if they're drinking enough water, because you don't get your hydrogen from your water generally, you get your hydrogen from your food, mostly. And so hydrogen is a food. You have to consider hydrogen as a food, and that's important later as we're talking on things. But what happens is starting in the enzymes in your mouth, you start breaking down the food until it gets down through all the chemical reactions into your colon. And that's where the bacteria live that break the food apart into the hydrogen and carbon and whatever else the food is comprised of. So you got hydrocarbons that you're eating, plants and meat and what have you. And that's where then the hydrogen that breaks off of that goes directly into your bloodstream through your colon walls. Now, you can't breathe in hydrogen like you breathe in oxygen, because hydrogen doesn't exist in the air. If there's hydrogen free, it just goes to God. Immediately rises. So the hydrogen is important. It's your most important nutrient. So people that concentrate on supplements of calcium and magnesium and selenium and iron, a person should be thinking, when you're dehydrated, and especially now because you don't have enough hydrogen, you're dehydrated. So why do we not have enough hydrogen? Mostly it's because of antibiotics. This miracle of modern medicine, which is definitely awesome, kills the bacteria, the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria in your guts. And you have bacteria in your food, antibiotics in your food, and chemicals that kill bacteria in the food, and just bad food, frankenfoods and stuff like that, all of which do not enhance the biodome in your guts, biodiversity. And it turns out that the hydrogen-producing bacteria, are particularly sensitive to this sort of thing. So virtually the entire population who has received antibiotics even since they were a child are lacking in the hydrogen-producing bacteria. So they end up just not being able to have enough hydrogen.
People who are ill or have been chronically dehydrated, as in lacking of hydrogen, have either compromised energy generation systems and or have depleted their energy reserves. The Brown's gas gives not only the hydrogen, but the energy at the same time to heal. So that's why it's very important on this. The hydroxy is the way to go if you want your maximum therapeutic benefit.
So, in my experience now, people are sick, aging, and dying from dehydration. Literally, not enough hydrogen. Brown's gas actually helps bodies heal. It doesn't heal itself by itself. It's not a drug. It's a nutrition. It's a food. And what happens is you give the body what it needs, and the body heals itself. So people using Brown's gas heal quickly, seldom get sick, and regain and retain a youthful appearance and vigor. The traditional health industry has been missing the importance of hydrogen for centuries, and now the hydrogen industry that's coming up is still missing the importance of the electrically expanded water. The electrically expanded water, again, we have a situation where, yes, you're getting the hydrogen, and that's good, but you also need the electrons, the bioavailable energy. People who are sick generally have compromised energy generation systems and or have depleted their energy reserves. So when you give the electrically expanded water, which is a bioavailable form of electrons, with the hydrogen, everything happens quicker.
This is the next generation of hydrogen for health. There's a huge number of factors that go into electrolysis design and what you're going to do with it. The basic concept comes down to whether there's a membrane or not. If you have a membrane that's separating the electrodes, in this case we're going to call it the cathode, which is the negative, and the anode, which is positive, you have a membrane that's separating those two, then you're not going to get Brown's gas. You're going to get a hydrogen off your cathode and oxygen off the anode, and that's the traditional electrolysis, Faraday electrolysis, if you will, that has been done for a couple hundred years, and that you can't make Brown's gas that way. It doesn't make the electrically expanded water. The electrically expanded water is only made in electrolyzers that don't have a membrane. And this effect is when the anions and cations are going back and forth across between the plates to balance the electrolysis. Some of those electrons are attaching onto the water, and the water is expanding and becoming the plasma form of water, which is electrically expanded water. Mm-hmm. And so it only happens when you have no membrane. Now, the most efficient type of way to do it has to do with plate spacing and electrolyte density and temperatures and waveforms and pulsing, all kinds of things that a person gets into. But the basic idea is that you have to have no membrane between the electrodes.
So knowing what Brown's gas is helps us design electrolyzers that make a higher quantity and quality of gas. We want as much of that EXW as possible.
So what I am is an expert in building electrolyzers, building and optimizing electrolyzers, Brown's gas electrolyzers in specific, or what's also known as hydroxy or HHO. There's now easily over 1,000 scientific studies and gathering more every day on just about every different kind of ailment. But then in 2016, early 2016, I actually videotaped myself first inhaling the Brown's gas. I was kind of busy at that time when I first learned about it in 2015 of December, because my wife was on her last legs, dying at that time from severe lupus, which it turns out is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping people get well.
Yeah.
Because in 2016, I started inhaling the gas, and by mid-2016, I developed the AquaCure machine, which is much more advanced. It's like the Ford F-150 to a Model T, as opposed. Yep. It's still not a Lamborghini or anything, because I'm trying to keep the price down for the average consumer. So anyway, it wasn't too long after I'd said about inhaling the gas, and this was actually still with an ER50 machine that this happened. A woman who had lupus reported in 3 weeks' time her lupus symptoms were gone.
That is amazing. Wow.
And my wife had battled the lupus for 10 years. And the last 3 years of her life, it was so bad, her organs were failing, and she was so weak, she couldn't even roll over in bed without assistance. So I became her 24/7 caretaker. So I pretty much lost my business and everything and what have you, because I couldn't work and care for her at the same time. Yeah. So after she passed in March of 2016, I dived back into my work as soon as I could breathe again a little bit, and started doing this. And then it was a severe blow on my heart again when the very thing that I'd been experimenting with since 1986, I was one of the worldwide experts in, that God had given me the clues in 1996 would have made this woman healthy, and I still have her with me today. Wow. So that is why I am very passionate at making sure that other people don't go through this severe thing that happens with the with all these ailments that are out there.